So since we're all in now, or whoever's coming, I think if anybody joins us late, that's absolutely fine. For those who are um, watching on the replay, as I'm starting now, I should just say that we've finished the little section where I show you how to double your personal income in the next 6 months. But I'm sure I'll do it at some other point in the future. Okay, so let's crack on with the content. This is a somewhat different one because something smacked me really hard around the head. Sort of wet haddock smacked me in the head this week. In that, I had a few conversations this week where people they've planned all the right stuff. They've got their DMs written. They've got their scripts done. They've developed some pretty good skills in terms of speaking with people, but when you actually look at what they're doing all day, they're just not not doing the stuff. They're not hitting what they need to do to be as effective or make as much money as they should be doing. Because the ultimate thing is once you know what the right things to do are, and once you know how to do them, you've then got to make sure that you do enough of them regularly to give yourself the chance of getting the results. So I'll give you a couple of examples as I go through, give you some screenshots. But there is a piece within the newly built academy, which I'll show you in a second, called the Recruiter Effectiveness Bundle. The new bar is on the left-hand side. You scroll down, Effectiveness Bundle, and there's a thing in there called the 5% rule, little video, and a tool called 5% Planner Review. And it's really simple. Everybody that I've ever looked at, every activity I've ever looked at, whether it's in recruitment or in anything else, there's a very small number of things. It's very rarely more than five. There's a very small number of things that really move the needle. For most of the stuff that we do, most of the time that we spend, it's not really stuff that moves the needle. And if you could get rid of the activities, the stuff, then you'd be left purely with the 5% of things that really move the needle. The presupposition there, of course, is that you know what the hell those 5% of things are. And that's the starting point. So the first part of the exercise is to go into the academy, go down to Recruiter Effectiveness Bundle, find the 5% planner and the 5% review. The 5% review is a massively complicated system. Basically, let me summarize it in 1 minute. You list all of the things that you have to do. Do your expenses, have a cup of coffee, DM candidates, pre-screen your candidates, contact and have business conversations with decision makers, do your LinkedIn connections, prep for interview both your candidate and your client, debrief after interview your candidate and your clients, list everything, update your CRM, everything, literally every single thing that you do in a week or a month, not a day, but a longer period. What do you do in a week? Because the beauty of recruitment is also what most people find really brain numbing about it sometimes, which is that it's repetitive. Or a slightly less loaded word is that it's iterative. It's the same thing repeated with depending on who you are, increasing frequency. But you go through everything and then you look at what the results you want are, and then you just highlight those things that actually contribute to the results you want. And what you'll find is that most of the stuff that you do every day doesn't actually directly contribute to the results at the end of the day. It doesn't directly contribute to money through the door. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be done. Updating your CRM, for example, very rarely moves the needle for anybody. but not updating the CRM will screw you in the end. So there are the 5% of tasks that really move the needle. And then there are the things that have to be done because they're important or because your boss requires you to, like a month-end report. Why anybody has to actually produce a month-end report anymore with all the CRMs and data that we've got, I have no idea. But I still find recruiters who have to do either spreadsheet or a PowerPoint once a month explaining what the hell they did. Personally, I think that's insanity, but what do I know? Um, Actually, what do I know? Quite a lot, actually. But the important thing here is there are three categories of things. There are the 5%, really tiny number of things that move the dial and bring in money. Then there are the things that you have to do because they're important or they're required. And then there's everything else. And almost everything on the big list will go into the everything else column in the end because it's not required and it doesn't really drive your money. So let me give you an example. When I did this for me, um, because I tend to eat my own cooking, when I've done the 5% exercise for me, I've got five activities that I do within the straight line recruitment process because, yes, I, we, my business follows the straight line recruitment process to drive our results. And for me, there's five things that right now move the needle. And they are sending out enough brand new LinkedIn connection requests, trying to get more first level connections. Because, as I've said a few times to you guys, I hate sending in mails and I hate even more paying LinkedIn and Microsoft any money. So I like to have a big chunk of new first level connections every single week. That comes from sending out loads of invitations. The second thing is I attract my candidates through LinkedIn DMs. So I have to send out enough of those every day to get me the requisite number, the target number of pre-qualification conversations. And I have to get the right number of pre-qualifications to get the number of qualifications, to get the longer conversations. And I have to get those in order to get the presentations and follow-ups. And I have to do the presentations and follow-ups in order to get the interviews. So here's my five things. Sending out LinkedIn connection requests, sending out LinkedIn DMs every day, doing pre-qualification calls and then qualification interviews, presenting candidates and following them up over the phone or by email, and interview prep and debrief. Those are my five things right now. The sixth thing, which I've already started because my business is a restart, it's a reboot, but I've got lots of contacts from the olden days when I was running this business before. So the sixth piece for me, which isn't critical now, but will be in 3 or 4 months, is having business conversations with business leaders and decision makers. I've already started to do that just because honestly I can, and I'm seeding the ground for later on. So I've got 5% tasks that have to be done every day or every week right now. I've then got a sixth, which will come into the mix as and when it becomes relevant. But then I've got the other stuff. I've got the stuff that I have to do, which is updating my CRM, general networking, doing social posts, all that sort of stuff. And then I've got stuff that honestly, if I don't do it, it will never make a difference to my income. It will never make a difference to whether I make money or not. It will never make a difference to whether my business thrives or not. It's just stuff. Yeah, like I'm a bit of an old-fashioned bugger, so I tend to actually this isn't an age thing because my son is 28 and he prints things like CVs and documents because he just prefers to touch the paper. So, I print my forms and I hand fill them in. Um, they then get transferred into the CRM. These are in a stack for filing. I've got about a dozen at the moment ready for filing. Do they have to be filed? Nope. Is it necessary? Nope, because I've already got them in the CRM and I've already got the notes elsewhere. Will I do it? Yeah, probably, but it's going to be when it's quiet or I'm exhausted or there's nobody else I can speak to, like it's Easter next weekend. So they might get filed then. But those are my things 5%, then the things that have to be done, and then the everything else. And the challenge I find for most people is that they're pretty good at working out the stuff that just doesn't need to be done. Having said that, people are pretty good at saying this stuff doesn't need to be done. And oddly enough, it tends to be the stuff they don't like. So most people are pretty good at working out, oh, this doesn't need to be done. They're okay at working out the stuff that kind of needs to be done, or else bad things happen. But they're terrible. Almost everybody is rubbish at working out the 5%, the very few, the tiny number of things that really do move the needle. And until you've worked those out, you can't ever be really effective and really efficient. You can just be busy. It's what you'll find, by the way, is it's quite possible that if you focus ruthlessly on the 5%, you've actually got a lot less stuff to do because the 5% is a very small number of tasks and everything else sort of drops down the priority list. So that's the first thing. Work out those 5% of tasks. Then you can start to drive your productivity. The second thing is a tool called time blocking. If you go on Amazon, you get some really sexy books called time blockers. They look great. I love stationery. They look great. Um, oh, we used to have a sales director in one of my old businesses, and it was a test that we used to do. We could always tell a really good salesperson and sort of natural salesperson because if you wanted them to be happy for a few minutes, you just gave them an old stationery catalogue from Viking or whatever. One of my clients at the moment, you know who you are. They have a stationery catalogue sitting in their break room. But we just used to give ourselves the stationery catalogue and we just sit there and be happy for 20 minutes. You just look through chairs and desks and filing stuff and pens, and it just made him happy. Maybe that was just him and maybe it was just our old-fashioned experience, but anyway. So time blocking. Um, you can use a special book for that. You can use a hard paper diary. Personally, even though I'm an old-fashioned Luddite, I use my calendar for it. But the principle is always the same. The biggest, do you ever have that thing where you get to the end of the day and you've been incredibly busy and you're absolutely shattered, you're exhausted, you get to the end of the day, you've done nothing but nose to the grindstone all day, and you look around and you go, what the was that about? You've accomplished absolutely nothing that mattered. Well, time blocking is how you make sure that never happens again, because time blocking is taking decent sized chunks, never less than 15 minutes, never more than 2 hours. It's never less than 15 minutes because of a principle called context switching. And context switching is why people who multitask actually aren't being efficient. What they're doing is lots of things poorly instead of one thing well. Multitasking genuinely is look up the research on it. It's very inefficient. It doesn't work. And by the way, all the stuff that used to be talked about women being better at multitasking than men, the research doesn't back that up. But women often are forced to multitask more frequently than men are. It's a different issue. But never less than 15 minutes because it takes your brain time to go from commenting on somebody's social posts to writing your own posts. It takes you time from sending DMs to candidates to doing a different thing. It takes you time to change gears. So you never time block for less than 15 minutes and you never time block for more than 2 hours because you'll go brain dead. If you are doing anything flat out, no breaks, 2 hours, you will get feeped. That's about as much as anybody's brain can take. How can I put this politely? I'm a bit of a weirdo, you'll have noticed, but I'm a bit of a weirdo and I can concentrate really intensely and nothing distracts me. You can set off a shotgun next to my ear and I probably wouldn't notice it. Once my head's down, I'll just concentrate and focus on that thing. I get tunnel vision. But even at the end of 2 hours, I stop being productive. So never less than 15 minutes, never more than 2 hours on a given thing. And this is just as an example what my calendar looks like for next week. So, oops, let me just get rid of that. Okay. So here's the things. The red things are, just do this. I can't even read my own diary. The red things are directly important 5% tasks which involve me proactively doing stuff. So, for example, this one here is new connection requests. I've got ×2 because I've got for the academy and for my search business. So I've got an hour and a half of it doing nothing but new connection requests as fast as I can, as efficiently as I can for 90 minutes. Then I've got an hour here, sorry, 30 minutes here for interview prep or debrief for the following day or for this day. That occurs every single day. Networking calls with prospects here because I can't do it first thing in the morning. Normally, I do my networking calls with prospects first thing in the morning because I'm dealing with chief exec, chief of, so I'm better trying to catch them before their day begins, before the meetings start piling in. So I do an hour here. In this case, an hour here. It's lunchtime. There's a good chance they're not in meetings. And that's just stripped out. Social commenting, ×2 again. So I've got 15 minutes on each. And that's half an hour every day. 15 minutes is quite a lot of commenting, even if you're doing substantive stuff. So that's really quick and efficient. Interview prep and debrief, same time, stripped out every day. Sales DMs, ×2, because I send out DMs for the academy and DMs for my search business. Again, that is an hour and a half every single day. Head down, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste every single day. Then I leave myself a little bit of time here just to take a breath, have a cup of coffee, normally go for a walk in this space here. I leave the yellow ones are leave them clear. That's where all my pre-qual and my interviews slot into. It tends to be heavily loaded toward Monday and Friday because of hybrid working. So I get far fewer here. I almost never have one on Thursday because I've got you guys, but I've got those slots available and I will almost always try and push is the wrong word. I will encourage my candidates to go into that 2 hour slot and I'll try and put as many in there as I possibly can. Again, I've got an hour for my presentations and follow-ups, and then got the new connection messages is I send out my new connection requests, and then I get a particularly big batch of people come in. In both accounts now, I'm picking up about between 80 and 90 new first level connections a week on each. So I've got to reply to 180 people a week. So that's pretty heavy. But on the Monday, I give an hour to it. On the rest of the week, they get half an hour each. And then I've got the Academy, Your Good Selves here. And this is planning my weekly social. I cheat. I do my social over the weekend. It's the only chance I've got to actually just sit down with me and a camera and a microphone, or me and Canva, and just bash stuff out. So I prep it here. I do it at the weekend. My coaching call, this prep, takes place on Wednesday for a Thursday call, just in case I need resources or anything. So that's my week time blocked. I think you can see the concept. There's certain things that have to be done. My 5 things again: sending out LinkedIn connection requests, that's there. Do my LinkedIn DMs, that's here. Do my pre-qual and my qualification calls, that's there. Presentations and follow-ups, that's there. Interview stuff, that's here. And then my business conversations with leaders, that's there. So I've stripped my diary and I'm ruthlessly doing those things. And everything else, frankly, can fit in where I've got spare time, or I'll just ignore it. CRM normally gets done here-ish, gets done towards the back end of the week, and I do it in a big block. With the exception on that one, by the way, is the updating of sales actions. So if I get interview requests and things like that, that goes in the CRM at the moment, at the time, that's live. But otherwise, it tends to get done in a block up here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I'm sure you'll have some questions on that one, but that's the concept of time blocking and combined with the 5% rule. So being ruthless about what you do and don't do. Obviously, Good Friday here, that burns my calendar, but all these are repeats. They repeat every single week because, well, they repeat every week because recruitment is iterative. If I need to adjust it, obviously I can do. I just move things around in the diary. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second couple of things I'm going to add in there are people storing documents. Now, you would think that in this day and age, and with a lovely, young, intelligent, bright, and sensible group of people like your good selves, you would think that sharing documents and that sort of stuff would be second nature. Unfortunately, it turns out it's not. So there are 3 things I recommend. If you've got documents that you use consistently, get them into one of 3 things. Either put them into a OneDrive, a Google Drive, or my personal preference is a Notion. If you're not familiar with Notion, it is a very powerful little system. It allows you get a free account, which is what this is, and you can build out your own personal intranet. So this is ours. This is the separate to this is there's a outside of this bit, the reason there's this called Business Hub is we've got a personal hub where we've got passwords, passports, national insurance numbers, travel plans, travel documents, dates of bills, all that stuff is kept in a personal hub where we can access anything at any time. I can get Elizabeth's personal details, she can get mine. There's no need to bother about passwords because we've always got them in one place. The business hub, I've got the Academy hub here, which consists of all that stuff. I'm not going to go into it because some of it's best one in the world, some of it's private, and some of it I don't really want to get into anyway. And then I've got the insurance recruitment hub. We've got our CRM here, which we partly got in for free and partly built. We've got a workflow, social media plans, finance, business management, playbooks. That's the how-to. So when it comes to how to do a connection request to a new person, how to do a DM to a new prospect candidate, how to do a presentation to a decision maker, to a prospect business. All of that is in there in playbooks, written so that a stupid 11-year-old could replicate it. If a stupid 11-year-old couldn't come in, follow the playbook, and do my job, the playbook's written wrongly. It's down to the tiniest little detail. It's down to the tiniest detail, and it should be replicable. Um, a few of you guys will know of a member called Cosmos. Cosmos wrote a playbook for one of his colleagues who was joining as a researcher, and they were able to get their first placement. They didn't source the opportunity, but they researched the candidates, contacted them, did all the necessary, flashed a bang, just under 3 weeks. That's not bad. That's purely down to the playbook and the preparation. Then we've got standard documents in here. We've got standard documents. As you can see, there's normal stuff, and then there's logos and GIFs and all sorts of things that we use repeatedly. Everything is stored in here. We don't have to wonder where to find anything because it's always in here. And then some of them we keep in a separate Google Drive just because this isn't great for giving you formatted documents. So that's what we do. The only other thing we use is we've got something called a Trello board. I'm not going to try and get into Trello tonight. It's a little bit too big to explain. But we use Trello to track our candidates through. So our candidate journey is a series of Trello cards. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can. Let me do it this way. Hopefully this will work. If I can get into here properly. No, it's not going to let me in. Unfortunately, I can't get to the top board. I will show you the Trello board another time. But effectively, there we are. Yeah. Oops. Yada, 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 yada. No, typical, not letting me on this particular device. Apologies for that. I'll show you another time. Okay. So the basic structure is if you have to do anything, sorry, if something is important, have a system for it. If a document is used regularly, have a single place for it. Don't start hunting, have it logged safely into a Notion or into a Google Drive or a OneDrive or a place, not just your downloads, not just your documents, somewhere it's solid, logos, documents, terms of business, have them in a place and everything it is in its single place and it stays there. Work out your 5% tasks and ruthlessly strip your diary, time block your diary so that you spend enough time each week doing those things that will bring you the results, that bring in the money, because everything else is either a distraction or can be done at another time. In my case, and probably in yours, there are also things that have to be done each week or each month. Some of those you saw in the diary example I gave you. You know, I've got to plan my social. That's a weekly thing. I do some each weekend, and then I do a big hit once a month. So that's it. But the starting point is the first one, which is go to Recruiter Effectiveness Bundle, down to the 5% review and the 5% planner, and that will then allow you to work from there to bring up all the tasks, then reduce it to 5% tasks, have to do tasks, and everything else. Okay, and I just want to show you one thing because I'm a bit proud of this. Okay, hoping I can actually get it. But let me try and do this. If this will go away. There we are. Okay, so this is the new version of the Academy, which looks a bit different. Basically, we've got the announcements here of all the stuff that's coming up before the end of the month. We've got all this is new content that's coming up for the straight line recruitment method, which is here. All of the courses you can find vertically this way on the left-hand side, or you can find them in courses, or you can find them in search for something. Literally type in selling, type in rapport, type in interview prep, and it will come up with all the modules that have those things. Then we've got a little bit of fun here. So these are all badges which you earn by going through a module. So if you go through create connections with LinkedIn and you answer the quiz and you watch all the modules, you win a badge. Hurrah! Just a little bit of fun, and they look cute and they sexy things up. There's also a bunch of other things in here as well. You can go straight to the straight line recruitment modules. There's links to the community. Basically, the old version, I wanted it originally to be quite conservative. It turned out to be dull, boring, and confusing. This should be a lot easier to work around, a lot more exciting, because it's first thing tomorrow. I will upload the video of tonight, both on here and in the Webinar Wonderland. So hopefully it's a bit more fun for people, a lot more interactive, a lot more a lot easier to navigate. That's the point. A lot more interesting. So I'm really proud of that. It's taken me ages to build. The most complicated thing, actually, not the content, it's the flipping badges. They were a nightmare to actually create because now you have to watch all of these things and complete them before you win your badge. So there we go. I'm going to finish my thing there. I'm just going to repeat myself one last time. Go into the Recruiter Effectiveness Bundle. Look for the 5% rule video and then 5% planner. Sorry, the 5% review. And the 5% review is a spreadsheet where you list all your tasks, separate out the things you have to do, and separate out the 5%, 5 or maybe 6 tasks. It might only be 3 for you, but a small number of tasks that move the dial and actually bring money in directly as a result of doing them. And then the last step, once you've got your 5%, go into your diary, whether it's paper, whether it's on your phone, whether it's on your screen, whether it's shared, whatever it may be, and be ruthless. Strip your diary as though it was a TV schedule. Strip your diary so that every single day you're doing the right things often enough to get the results that you want. Rubbish in, rubbish out. Good stuff in, good stuff out. That's me finished on this bit. If you want to recap on any of that stuff I was talking about, you can watch it in the replay, probably about 10:30 tomorrow. But now I'm going to hand it over to a Q&A session. I've got a couple from people in here, but I'll throw it over to you guys first of all. Okay, so ask me anything, guys. That's the nature of this particular session. So who wants to ask me the first questions?
Hi, Stephen.
Hey, John.
I just wanted to ask something about, well, firstly, gamification of the academy looks interesting. I like that. Yeah, and you should be proud. I know creating a website from scratch is never bloody easy. I've done it before.
Yeah,
Um,
it's I'm never going to get those weeks back, I'll be honest, but hopefully worth it.
Although the website I was working on was a lot more simplistic, a lot more simplistic. But anyway, my point was, I'm sure you've heard of Calendly and some of the
Yeah,
pieces of software around that, giving more flexibility to the candidate. Would you, because if you were to click on my book an appointment button on LinkedIn, you'd be shocked at the amount of availability I've offered to candidates.
I,
Would you trim that down massively then,
I would.
rather than,
Yeah, if you think about the diary I had, Jerome,
yeah,
got 2 hours a day where I'm available for candidates.
mm,
Don't get me wrong, if I've got an absolute superstar and they can only talk to me at 8:45 on Friday, yeah,
of
I'll find a
course,
way of doing it, obviously. And I'll take the stuff that should be there and I'll move it back and get it done anyway.
yeah,
But the Calendly and things, you can set your availability. So I would set the availability
yeah,
as X number of hours a day between
mm,
X and Y. If you're, I mean, I'm going to put it. I was going to say I was anally retentive, but I always think that being anally retentive is an awful lot better than the alternative. If you think about those words for a
mm,
second. Um, but no, I quite like doing the same thing at the same time every day.
yeah,
But that's just for my personal benefit. It would
sure,
actually
sure,
be more efficient if I did candidate in the morning, then sorry, in the morning, then the afternoon, then the morning, then the afternoon, then the morning. That would actually be more efficient and more flexible because, I can't guarantee people are always available between 2 and 4. So if you did an afternoon slot, a morning slot, an afternoon slot, a morning slot, an afternoon slot, and just alternate them, that will give you the option of saying to somebody, "Hey, Jerome, what's best for you, Tuesday morning or Wednesday afternoon?"
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, but the blocking principle still applies. Just if
Mm,
you're doing that availability, you have to be a bit more flexible with the fitting everything else in.
mm.
That makes sense.
No, no, it definitely does, especially if we're working on, multiple different time zones at a time. Obviously offers more flexibility for
Yeah, that gets even.
Europe and, yeah,
Yeah,
US, etc.
precisely. Yeah. The only thing I would say is once you've gone through the 5% review and you've worked out the amount of time it takes you to do those 5% tasks,
Mm,
make sure that those get done. Don't compromise those just to give your candidates flexibility, because if you're not careful, you'll bounce around all over the place. You'll be
okay.
concept switching left, right, and center, and you just won't be able to concentrate on the things that really move the needle.
Mm, mm, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
understood. Thank you,
cool.
Stephen.
My pleasure. Any more, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, I've got one from Rena, which is an interesting one. Um, if you're working with a candidate and it turns out that they are absolutely brilliant, but not for the particular roles that you're trying to work. Um, for example, in my case, I'm working the commercial insurance sector and I'm primarily working account executives or new business executives. But I will, because I've got experience in the market, I know an amazing underwriter when I see one. The question from Karina is, do you kind of take a step back and go, oh, it's not right for me? Or do you jump in and take that channel and start working a different type of job role just because you've got a superstar? Um, and my honest answer to that question, Prina, is it depends on where you are in your business. If you're in, this is going to sound perverse, if you're in build mode and you're trying to get your niche built and you're trying to make as much noise and get as much presence in a particular niche as possible, niche being job job title or function, industry and geography. If you're building, I wouldn't get distracted. If you've got that niche built and you are making money regularly and you're attracting the kind of people you want and you've got the kind of clients and job orders that you want, definitely, if you've got a superstar in an adjacent niche, definitely spread your wings, go into it, treat them as the opportunity to open a second niche. But perversely, I wouldn't do it at the start when you're looking for to build your business. I know logically, I know most people would go, oh, hang on, I've not got a lot of business on, I'm not making much money. I should go off and do this superstar. Yeah, but the time you spend doing that is time you're not focused on your core niche. It's a question of sacrificing the now for the future, making a small sacrifice of this um, sort of adjacent niche now in order to get a much bigger lump in the future from your core niche. So hopefully that makes sense. It sounds a bit back to front, but a genuine recommendation while you're building your niche and you're building your book of business, concentrate on that one role in that one industry. Don't be distracted. Once you're the 500-pound gorilla, by all means, because at a certain point you're going to want to take on a second niche anyway. So once you're established, yeah, if you get you tend to work with C-suite and you suddenly get a fantastic engineer, yeah, go for it. But until you're the 500-pound gorilla, don't get distracted. Okay, thanks for that one, Brina. Um, what else have we got, ladies and gentlemen? I feel like I blew your hair back a bit with this afternoon's session. Going off into this.
I'm
Yeah,
Yeah,
Stephen,
I'm
can you
good
hear
for now,
me?
Stephen.
yeah, I can hear you, Scott.
Yeah, hi, thanks for that. Just what you said there kind of was a bit of a wake-up call for me. I know you've said before about finding your niche, but
Yeah,
I'm currently looking at two separate markets and just finding good candidates where I can in those specific
yeah,
markets and doing my best. One's in like homologation within automotive, and the other one was in pipeline inspections. But I've focused the automotive just in Germany and the inspections just in America.
yeah.
So, and just trying to see where I get some traction to help and keep some options open before going into something. So, Jerome, for example, gave me an excellent super candidate, and that's for me being a door opener
Hmm.
for a lot of things. But you're right. Am I just sacrificing the a long-term game? But when I'm trained in sales, in recruiting salespeople, the two industries I'm looking at, there's a massive need for a technical engineer type people.
Yeah.
So there's not really a question in that. It's more of a just a topic.
No, well, it's okay. Over to Stephen. Discuss. Um, are they adjacent? Are they're not the same thing in different markets, are they? They're completely different roles in completely different markets. Is that right?
Yeah, one is aligned more to kind of the types of network and contacts that we have in our team, which is
Yeah.
the automotive big players, sorry, testing, inspection, certification
Yeah.
players, and then the other one is more specific around oil and gas type pipeline inspections.
Okay. Any sense of size of niche or degree of competition?
No,
Okay. Um, I'm sure you can see where I'm going. If I've, let me be simplistic about it. If I've got two things I could do, and I've got one where it's a massive market with limited competition, and another where I'll be splashing around in the shallow end of the gene pool until I get established, I'll go for the first one. Yeah. Um,
mm,
but you've then got other challenges like logically, Germany should be good because I don't know about your experience of it, but my experience of the German recruitment market is that German recruiters aren't as um, let me be polite about it, they're not as aggressive as we Brits tend to be. So it's much more gentlemanly, it's much more networking based rather than call strangers and ask them for money. Whereas the States, obviously, much more dynamic market. But how's your German?
yeah, I think my GCSE German extends to how many guinea pigs I've got in a school bag as a tongue twister.
Ich verstehe nicht, was Sie sagen. Bitte sprechen Sie noch langsam. I've got a clue what you're saying. Talk more slowly. That's the extent of mine, and I can get a double room, and it's five here. That's my lot. So the idea of doing a technical role in Germany would break me out in a cold sweat. I know they probably speak English. Doesn't mean they wanna.
Yeah.
So I don't. There's no
Cool.
science behind that at all, mate.
No. But it's still logical.
Yeah,
I've still the same thoughts. No, fair enough.
yeah. What I'm always looking
Something to
for
think
is,
about.
yeah, where can I make the most money um as easily as possible with as little competition as possible. And if I did a little Venn diagram of those three things, that's my sweet spot. Size of the market, speed of response, and amount of competition. Wherever I get that overlap, that's what I'm going for.
Cool.
But would I work to answer the basic question, Scott? Would I work two and see which one took off? No,
Yeah. All
no,
right.
I wouldn't. I'd work one intensively for a period of time, give myself 2 months on it. If I'm not getting any traction on it, I might then switch to the other. But I wouldn't do both at the same time because you'll just not do either thoroughly.
Okay. Thank you. Good
Yeah,
advice.
my
Cheers.
pleasure. Any more for any more? Lovely, lovely random set of questions tonight. Enjoying that. Not sure who else is on with us.
I'm all set for tonight, Stephen, but thank
Okay,
you. The calendar advice is pretty damn useful.
lovely. It's as I was sending the email out today, I thought that's going to be deathly dull. I'm going to get tumbleweed and crickets from everybody, but it makes everything else work. You're right, Jerome. If you get that right, everything else, you get time and you get the opportunity to do all the other stuff, to do the right things and to develop your skills and stuff. So lovely. Well, I will be out of here. If you do have any questions, bob them into the community and I should be able to access it tomorrow. I'll get back to you as well, Jerome. And for Scott,
Yeah, no rush. It's for Monday.
if you can dig your cyber homework out of your slobbery dog, that would be lovely. And to everyone else, take care and I'll see you all next week.